And we're back. That was a lot of information for one night, but I hope that helps you understand the concepts of what's happening right now. I did have a moment to collect some questions that came from our staff. So thank you so much to all of you that hung in there with me for, oh my gosh, it's been a couple of hours now. So that was a lot of talking for one night. So let's get to a couple of questions. Then we'll see where we end up, how many I can get answered in the next hour. So, or thereabouts. I don't want to keep all of you a really long time on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, depending on where you are. So let's get into it. Okay. I have a question from Emma Mork. Where do we human souls come from? Is it mostly Lyra? Is what she'd like to know. Well, human souls come from Source. That's where they all come from. As far as where you have lived in other lifetimes, we have a variety of souls that are living here on Earth. So some of us have been on Earth many times, especially over the last 3 million or so years. We have come and gone and come and gone and come and gone. And it's not because we have life lessons to learn and what a lot of people say. I would say it more has to do with the incarnation programs and some of the things I explained earlier this evening. But are there any souls from Lyra? Sure. Do I know others that are Lyrian? Yes. Matter of fact, one of the parties that sits on the main council of the Universal Council, or Intergalactic Council as it's sometimes called, not Galactic Council, Intergalactic Council, is from Lyra. She is extremely tall. She does have blue skin, but she is not a bird-like, as other people in the alt media have explained. She's lovely, lovely person, is a female. And yeah, so I would say, yes, there are also many people that have been sent here for this time, meaning to aid with the transition, to fight the war. And yes, some of you signed up to be in this lovely situation that us humans all find ourselves in right now. So I guess you could say we all have a job to do. Depending on where you're from, you might still be in contact with those that are from your planet of origin. You might call them guides. You might call them family. They might introduce themselves in a number of different ways. And they all have different techniques for what we call an inside-out transformation. So you could say that your origin is always Source because you're an organic being. But as far as your last place you may have been, it could be any number of places. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, next. This one doesn't have a name, but it says, what information is in the Giver of Life Declaration document? And can it be translated into an Earth language? If yes, when can we possibly expect to see it? And will it be printed out? Well, at one point in time, we thought the archivists were going to do it, but that clearly wasn't the case. The Giver of Life Declaration is written in what we call a light language because it is a source-originated agreement. What is a light language? Well, all language, even human languages, are a frequency. When we speak certain letters in a particular order, it gives out a frequency that the person can understand. And I know that right now on Earth, it feels like we all speak different languages depending on where we are and where we come from. But in reality, you can actually train your brain to understand any language you want to in the world. believe it or not, just by picking up on the frequencies. You have that human capability from birth. It is also the reason why we understand things like we call body language, and why we might innately be visiting a foreign country and can actually understand where to go and what to do. You start to recognize the pattern of the letters, and you know that that is a grocery store, as an example. That's something you do with your eyes, but you can also do it with your brain. A light language is a frequency. It sounds, do you ever meet a person and their voice just sounds so calming and so soothing? And it's because your frequency might match their frequency. They can speak the same words as another person, but it just feels different from that person. Maybe that can kind of clue you into the fact that you're not only picking up on what the person is saying, it's how they're saying it to you that just feels right. So will it ever be translated into a human language? I sure hope so. What kind of things are in there? This is a complete reversal of the death process. Death is created by time, because time would dictate that unnatural clockwise flow of things. It's like our clock goes around in a clockwise position or rotation. So as did your cells, as do your mitochondria, as did other things that make up your person. So a reversal of that rotation actually flows with the frequency of love, which feels right. That is what comes from source, and that is the natural flow of all things that make up matter in an atomic clock, so to speak, even smaller than an atom, down to a quark level and a preon level. When they're all flowing in that opposite direction, that's when it's easier for your frequency to change. That's what creates a situation where you fully understand, your mind is communicating with your body and your soul, and everything is flowing in the right direction. And that was kind of what the Giver of Life Declaration was about. It's all about actual restoration. I know that a lot of people see restoration as lots of money comes out and then we build great things together. And that's part of it, sure. But the main part of restoration is the restoration of the original natural order down to a preon level of the universe, and therefore you, and also Earth, and also other planets and other other systems, star systems and galaxies as well. So it's a big project. It's a source project. That declaration was that full restoration because balance could not be achieved, not only here on Earth or Gaia, but also in the multiverse. So that is what in a nutshell and brief, because we have a short period of time, what is in the Giver of Life Declaration. It's a very long declaration because when you start thinking of the universe in terms of preons and atoms and quarks, and you start to think about the reversal of all those things and back to a natural order and a natural flow, a natural current. Now you can kind of understand a little bit about what the full restoration and the declaration actually means to you and means here on Earth. So I hope that helps answer your question. Okay, Angela wants to know, she says, thank you, Kim. Thank you. Where did the Draco go when they left, and could they ever return here? Okay. So you have Draco and you have anti-Draco, for lack of a better term. And not all people that hailed originally before it was taken over, much like, I guess you could say, in part, not in totality, Earth was never completely taken over. I mean, it was governed by others, but But a full invasion and a full attempt to wipe out the original Draco species, or those that are from Alpha Draconis, and insert anti-Draco, much like they inserted a lot of anti-humans here on Earth, we know as like Abraxas and other anti-humans here on Earth, those will never return. That form of Draco will not return here, mainly because there isn't really any to return. Folks that hail from the Alpha Draconian star system, the original folks, somewhat scattered, some were slaves, and possibly those beings that hailed from that galaxy could possibly be here, but they don't have an intention of taking over this planet in the same way that the anti-Draco or those that invaded that galaxy did. So, hope that answers that question. Let's see. Tiffany wants to know, will assurance come online for medical insurance in 2025? I believe it will. I believe this is our year. Again, it's going to take all of us to make sure it happens, and all of us to make sure that it is available everywhere, down to how do people get it, how do providers use it, how does it work, and a lot of education we're going to have to do. So there's going to be an enormous amount of education, that by whatever name you want to call it, information that is going to need to go out to a lot of people as we educate. I hate using that word, but as we educate people. And this was one thing I was trying to get the other education division to understand, that yes, we must educate our children in a certain way. We must also have education for jobs and re-education for new technologies, for current things that people do, like construction work, and there'll be new technologies and new things available and different ways of doing things that are building cars, and we want to keep those people in a good paying job, a better paying job. So there's a lot of work that has to be done, and this is going to be part of the education division of care that will help structure something so that not only children have a better education, but also adults are going to need a lot of re-education as we move into a different system. There's probably also going to be needing, some people are going to need a hotline when they figure out that, the government's not going to provide this kind of stuff anymore. And really, it's all about people uniting, and how quickly can we unite to disperse said things? How quickly are we going to make the transition to a different system? How long will people be hanging and waiting for, all the things the deep state is promising right now? This is also part of education too. So the faster we all come together, the faster this is going to happen. That includes security. So, okay, let's see. The Hertz sound frequency was changed sometime age. Okay, so it must be some time ago, to the benefit of the deep state. Will it ever be changed back to its original? Also, will the 12-month calendar ever be changed back to 13 months? Okay. Well, let me answer the first part. Okay, the frequency here is designed for optimal energy extraction for a dark purpose. The fact that humans participate in this frequency modulation, FM, interestingly enough, and AM, amplitude modulator, is part of that same program to keep you from being you, who you really are. Now, as far as changing those frequencies, they are changing. That's the reason why we've been so topsy-turvy, in part, as far as human life is concerned on this planet, because they keep, and AI systems kept trying to lower that frequency so it can get A, fed, and B, enter into your person, enter into this planet, and cause more disruption. The fact that the deep state participates in that is because they want those things to come so that they can be successful. I guess they still think that this thing cares about them. So, frequency is also something you can change yourself in part. You can only listen to certain music that vibes with your vibe. It'll become painful if you listen to the wrong music. The more you change your own frequency, and sometimes it's hard because I know we live in a very difficult society, but you do have some control over that. And together, united, and I'll repeat that again, because that's why this is called United Network, because together and united, we can change the frequency of the whole planet. We can do it together. So that's possible. And now, as far as the right music or something coming through a computer, you'll turn it off. It won't feel good to you. It'll make you sick. Just like watching certain programs or television shows or whatever it is also make you feel a little off, especially the more I hate to use the term enlightened, because that's not really the term. The closer you get to source, the more those things will bother you. Okay, next, will it ever be changed back to its original? Okay, well, that answers that question. Also, will the 12-month calendar ever be changed back to 13 months? Well, let's talk about calendars and time for just a brief second. So, calendars are a human invention, mainly to keep us on the go. We have certain events that happen, certain times of year. It also has to do with astrological control that are coming from to Earth from different constellations, as far as ownership and control, especially our astrological signs, so to speak. And your mannerisms on this planet are also dictated by some of the space junk, I guess you would say, that's there. As far as our world is concerned, how is having 13 months versus 12 going to change your life? Is it because you'll appear younger? Appearing younger is a lot more than just that extra month, isn't it? But we want to focus on things that what does it mean not to have a tariff on gold, where energy of source comes to Earth and then goes out the window? I think I kind of explained that again a little bit earlier too. Okay. Is universal Kim? No. Hi, Kim. Is universal income possible in the very near future? Happy New Year to you and your team. Well, Happy New Year to you too. And I think I kind of explained that a little bit earlier, that we would have something called essentials, which is what the plan is. We want to keep people working, not dependent on us. Again, as guardian, I want humanity to put me out of a job. I don't want there to be another guardian either after me. I think you don't need a guardian eventually once we can come out of this trauma state that we're constantly living in. As far as help for wage disparity, for example, what Essentials is designed to do, say you live in New York City and you are a maid at a hotel. I'm just picking a job. You clearly have a hard time living in New York City on that type of a salary. Well, Essentials jumps in and they say, okay, in order to live, not exist, not struggle in New York City, you would have to have X amount per month. So it would take your current salary as a maid in a hotel and it would add to it, maybe double it, or in this particular case, maybe even triple. But it would give you that monthly extra income in order to compensate for your lack of income on your current job so that you can live, meaning having proper housing, food, support for children or a family, if that's what you want to do. That's what Essentials is designed to do. So is that actual, depends on what your, universal income, depends on what your definition of universal income is. Do I think that we should get money every month to some ridiculous amount? Well, no, because we still need you as humans to do things to support the village, right? It takes a village to raise a child, and the child, I guess in this case, is all of humanity. So we still need people to fly planes and drive taxis and or drive Ubers or have restaurants where we can go out to eat and do things that we enjoy without having the people that work there struggle, the business owners struggle, and us still being able to enjoy that privilege, whatever it is we're trying to have. Some cases, these things are critical, like doctors and nurses, homeopathic or naturopaths or otherwise. We still need to have those things in our village so that we can take care of each other. Until we learn how to take care of each other, because we're taking care of each other, eventually that will work itself, where we don't have this commanded 40-hour work week, because we have a lot of people that are willing or wanting or feel called to do said job. Therefore, they do their part in the village. And some other jobs, so to speak, will go by the wayside too, because we don't need someone to do that job. It can be done in a different way. One thing is clear is we're not going to have taxi drivers that are actually automated with the current technology that we have. The places where they're testing those things are a hot mess. So there's some jobs that are going to be around for a while and some that'll probably go away more quickly. So hope that answers your universal income question. Okay, next. Clint wants to know, Dear Kim, thank you for all you do, known and unknown. UN World Heritage Sites, what is the actual intention of the UN to acquire said sites? Okay. Two main reasons I know of why they want to acquire these sites. Sometimes we see on UN heritage sites, these are historical sites. They're probably a lot older than you think. And oftentimes we build, and we have built as humans, structures on particular locations where there is, for example, sometimes it's worship. So it's a religious thing. And the reason why that is done by humans and non-humans is because there is what I call either space junk underneath there that will harvest your energy as you're doing it. In other cases, not space junk, but maybe rare earth minerals or something underneath there, where the UN claims it as an asset. Mainly, it's usually to protect their alien friends' stuff. Usually, like when I'm looking for something emanating from a particular country, the first thing I check is all the World Heritage sites in that country. Because if I do, then hey, usually I find what I'm looking for. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So hope that answers that question. Excuse me. Okay, next. What do we have here? Oh, space junk. I did do a news report about space junk. Um, but let's see examples. We have something that looks like a giant crystal ball, probably the size of the average human house, sometimes bigger. And what it does, it has a metallic, non-human familiar metal that kind of spins around it. And what it does is by spinning around it, it actually becomes, in non-physics terms, a magnet for dark energy, as an example, and it collects it all as we throw it out. So if there's a war somewhere, or there's something very negative happening in the world, like a World Trade Center event or something like that, these balls will spin around and, for lack of a better term, vacuum up that dark energy. And then they are connected by Wi-Fi to an AI system to power that AI system, or it's sent to the netherworld into a tank where people gas up, like you saw in Jupiter Ascending. It's almost like a Lushing farm. So that's kind of one example. We have others that collect data. They look like, if you've ever opened up your laptop and you see all these little metallic things connected to this one board, as an example. Well, these metallic things, when it comes to an AI, are enormous, like half the size of a football field. They collect data, or they act as a tablet, as an example, versus I call them altars, but that's just an anagram for something. But they are receivers, essentially, of information, and they are your data storage, kind of like your hard drive is. It's your data storage section. And then you would have tablets, which are like your assembly processing on your motherboard. It would go from this one, maybe in the 5th density, to this one in the 3rd density, to that one underneath the UN heritage site in Egypt on that one. And then it then creates a process, not only here on Earth, but in the multiverse, that allows for an AI to function, for example, with parasites in your brain or something like that. So that was kind of like a rough, really quick example of space junk. There is some information from some whistleblowers that I've seen that's fairly accurate. I think it was Stephen Greer that put this out. I haven't seen the latest thing he did, but it was a few months back. I think it was back last summer, where he had some people speaking about their experiences underneath Fort Bragg, where they had this large floating, what appeared to them to be magnetic, levitating, giant black box looking thing. And he describes it fairly accurately, and that's what I would call an altar, for lack of a better term. So, okay, Sachin wants to know, who is the enforcer, and can you tell us more about the identity and history and nature of the enforcer? Okay, the enforcer's been around a very long time. Remember, once you leave Earth in space, so to speak, there is time of no time. So people live a lot longer than we do. And of course, there's many reasons for that. The enforcer's been around a really long time. He is and has been appointed a part of a fleet. He's not the only one of his kind. And sometimes on occasion, we have more enforcer group people here than other times we have less. His predominant job is, you could call him, he works for the Universal Council, or works with the Universal Council. And a long time ago in our time, I'd say probably a few billion years ago, his fleet came to be, in Earth years anyway, it came to be kind of like, if you look at the Universal Council, kind of like our United Nations. Our United Nations is sort of the government allegedly collective government, where all the governments come together, which is complete lie, just explained. But their peacekeeping forces would be like the enforcer. So he's been fighting the dark forces, making sure there's no infractions, kind of being the boots on the ground. He'll be called in when there is an infraction to take care of the problem. And he is ensuring that there isn't an infiltration. He's participated back at the time when we had 3 keystones. He participated heavily at that time as well, as far as making this decisions on what needed to happen in order to protect the all. So by the all, we mean the universe, all the people, all the beings. So that is who the enforcer is. As far as where he's originally from, I don't have an English word that I could tell you right now to describe it. He is tall, probably 15 to 17 feet tall. What is he like? When I first met him, he was very military-like. He was very cold, militant. Over the years, since it's been quite a while, we've been working together. He's kind of Sky Command, I guess you would say. But this is a tandem thing. He does a lot of work here on the planet too. So, and I do a lot of work elsewhere. So it's just kind of like an effort that a partner, I wouldn't even call it a partnership. I would just say we are comrades. And he's been a wonderful comrade to have in this battle, for sure. And he's looking forward to going home and retiring. So hopefully we'll get there soon. So that's kind of who he is. Okay, Samosa wants to know, you said in April that HSBC will fall and Bank of China will follow, and that the archivist says governments will collapse within weeks. Both predictions didn't happen. Any comment? Oh, lots of comments. Earlier today, I explained the money magic way of doing things. So for a while now, until they can gain full control over these institutions, they have been faking it. Fake it till you make it. Fake assets, fake government bonds, fake numbers to keep things from falling, quote unquote. So it is a giant robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. And then, of course, there's the media that's not putting out information of what's really happening. As far as the archivist is concerned, governments. Governments are a perception, really. They are, I explained kind of what they are. And how are they functioning? Well, they are robbing Peter to pay Paul until the date comes where they can keep it moving. Their motto has been, make it through 2024 till we can get to 2025. So here they are, and here we are. Maybe the archivists said that because they thought something, but again, the archivists weren't exactly our friends, turns out in the end anyway. But that would be my comment. My comment is, how long can they fake it till they make it? Again, they don't want to lose any kind of thing they perceive as a control structure because they feel the need to keep control. I don't know why. I guess to please people or beings that are no longer in existence. So, okay, let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, that's it. It's all they sent me. I guess, according to production, who's in my ear, we're running out of time. So that's all the questions they sent me for tonight. Hopefully we'll do this again really soon, and we'll answer more of your questions. So thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I know it's really late in some places and really early in others, but we tried to make it kind of a little half and half of everything. We'll change up the time a bit too, so that if you didn't catch us live, maybe next time you can catch us live. So once again, you've got a big job to do in 2025. So I hope you're up for the challenge. And thank you so much for being you and being here tonight. And I look forward to 2025 being a much better year for everyone.